We like to put the divine into neat boxes, but historical accounts consistently describe spiritual encounters as an unpredictable, uncontrollable force. So how exactly do ordinary, limited people interact with something that refuses to be contained? Look at the historical setting of the ancient Jewish harvest festival of Pentecost. Jerusalem swelled with travelers from across the known world. It was loud, chaotic, messy, and deeply crowded. The biblical account in the book of Acts describes a sudden sensory overload sweeping through an ordinary house where Jesus' followers were staying. They experienced the deafening sound of a violent wind and visual anomalies that looked like divided tongues of fire resting in the room. Because a force like the wind is invisible, we cannot put it under a microscope. We can only prove it is there by observing the physical things it moves. Naturally, the crowd outside was bewildered by the ensuing chaos. Hearing people suddenly speaking in foreign languages, onlookers quickly concluded that the disciples had simply had too much new wine. The Apostle Peter intervened, pointing out a simple logistical fact. It was only 9 o'clock in the morning, far too early for public intoxication. He then made a sharp theological pivot. He argued that the crowd was witnessing the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy by Joel, promising that God would pour out his Spirit upon all people. Peter's explanation offers a framework for how we approach these phenomena today. We have to stop looking for literal magic in the sky and start looking for tangible, real-world symptoms of spiritual intervention on the ground. The first observable symptom of this spiritual force is the sudden breakdown of deep-seated cultural and linguistic walls to forge immediate human connection. This map of the ancient Mediterranean illustrates the scale of what happened in Acts chapter 2. A disjointed crowd composed of different ethnicities suddenly heard and understood one another in their native dialects. What started in a single room in Jerusalem rapidly intersected with the broader world, affecting travelers and visitors from the heart of the Roman Empire. The event also cascaded southward, directly impacting residents from regions across northern Africa, including Egypt and Libya. When groups with long histories of division spontaneously transform into a cohesive, communicating community, we are seeing the macro-level footprint of the Spirit's movement. That movement also scales down to deeply personal moments of grief. Consider a local pastor's account of losing her father while she lived thousands of miles away. The death left her profoundly disoriented. The sheer geographical distance between California and Alabama magnified the cold, terrifying finality that her father would never visit her new home. Shortly after returning to work, she led an outdoor Vespers service on the California coast. As she turned toward the ocean to pray, she noticed the shrubs lining the cliff were suddenly covered in a massive swarm of hummingbirds. Her father's favorite animal was the hummingbird. Seeing dozens of them swarming the coastline provided a highly specific, intimately tailored moment of comfort, exactly when she needed it most. These synchronized occurrences act as small graces. They suggest that true love bypasses physical boundaries of time and space, orchestrated by a presence intimately aware of our inner lives. Another distinct symptom appears directly in our own bodies. When a sharp lump forms in your throat, or tears well up while observing someone else's pain, you are experiencing a literal wake-up call. This physiological reflex takes the massive, incomprehensible scale of human suffering and translates it into a highly personalized commission to act. You feel this empathy when confronting systemic realities, like families being pulled apart by border enforcement operations. Or you might feel it while driving past agricultural fields, recognizing the back-breaking strain of exploited and abused laborers working to harvest our food. That same internal tug happens when witnessing the devastation of extreme global health crises, such as the agonizing toll of Ebola outbreaks in the Congo. No single person is expected to fix these massive global issues. The internal nudge simply prompts us to look at the suffering directly in front of us, equipping our specific, limited hands to answer a localized call. The most compelling symptom of a spiritual encounter is finding yourself doing what you previously thought was entirely impossible, especially when facing intense personal dread. Take the agonizing experience of waiting for the results of a dicey medical test. The vulnerability of knowing a large mass has been found and the extended wait for a diagnosis is completely terrifying. In the middle of that terror, it is possible to practice a steady, rhythmic breath prayer, maintaining a physical calm that directly defies the panic swirling in the mind. This is the nevertheless effect. It is the profound realization that while deep pain, historic consequences, and physical suffering are incredibly real, they do not possess the final word. We do not have to frantically chase this kind of spiritual fortitude. We simply need to quiet ourselves, get out of our own way, and adopt the posture required to notice it arriving. So look closely at the broken world around you. Observe its pain and its profound beauty. Notice the small graces, lean into your empathy, and find the courage to confidently speak your own nevertheless to the darkness.